Hello, you're watching tulipswift. Welcome to my camera quality changes in every video. So today I'm going to show you the 6 books I read in July, which is really good for me. I think this is the most books I've read in a month all year in 2020, and so this is kind of a conclusion to my Reading Rush TBR, but also I just thought I would, like I say every few months, do wrap-ups again. My hair is pink. The color is by Arctic Fox. It's called Virgin Pink if you are into hair dye, so it's a little bit darker than the bottle, but like I was also putting it over some colors. Like this was blue right here, so now it's purple, which I love. I have some really exciting wrap-ups to give you next month when I finish Cruel Prince by Holly Black, Girls of Storm and Shadow by Natasha Nigone. I don't remember, or I don't know how to pronounce it, or both. So the first book I finished is All Boys Aren't Blue by George M. Johnson. I read the audiobook for this. It's read by the author. It is a quick read full of short stories from his childhood. It's definitely like a memoir. I would say it's still like young adult because it's about like coming of age as a Black queer man. And I really, really liked it. I think that he tied all the stories together and it was very, very honest, insightful. It was just a great book. Definitely specifically a great resource for the intersection between being Black and being queer, because it was focused on how those shaped his life. Trauma, love, friendship, loss. I saw some of the criticism specifically from like Read with Cindy, or I'm really bad at YouTube channels. She said that like he really like overanalyzed like every single thing, and that definitely was true. Like he would tell a story and then there would be a very obvious like metaphor for the story and life or something, and then he would really break it down and be like, this means this because this, which teaches us this, which was like annoying, but it didn't take away from the book for me. In academic writing, like I feel like everything is like broken down. 5 out of 5 stars. Something that was unique to me as a reader was the representation of sex and like queer virginity. Well, I understand that every book can't be like a teaching book, you know what I mean? And this was definitely something that was about like failures and embarrassment and learning and stuff like that. But, you know, everything's just like, oh, like they're 15 and they have sex for the first time, whatever. This one he was like, I think in college he was in his like 20s and stuff, which is like not something you ever see because like, well, I guess YA, like they're not that age, so like they don't be waiting, but just not only really honest, but also like sex positive, and I mean like we stan. Another thing I really liked about this book is that he talked about how he was taught in the American school system about Black history and his experience at a Catholic school, and he went to a Black college, I believe, and just some other schools. Also like what Black History Month was like as a kid. And it was really interesting. A lot of really cool stuff in that book. Okay, the next book was incredible. It's by Casey West, so it's either gonna be a hit or miss. It's called On the Fence by Casey West, a story about a girl who has like 3 older brothers, and there's this boy who lives next door who's friends with her brothers, and they all play football together, and they've grown up together. She's known the boy next door her whole life. So it's called On the Fence because like I have this like fence between their houses where they like meet at and they like talk there. I read this book in one day. It was not part of the readathon or anything. Like I just started listening to the audiobook and then I like did not sleep, and it was like I started listening to it the day before I started like my first day of work, and I was like, damn, like I'm not gonna sleep tonight. That's okay. Anyways, I love this book so much. Trigger warning for like car accident or whatever. With that being said, I don't think it's like a devastatingly sad book, but you should know because, you know, not everybody will tell you. And then some people will be like, I think trigger warnings are great, but like it's so hard to find them. So whenever I talk about a book, I would just want to do that from now on. But it was a little bit sketchy because I feel like it wasn't very clear, like the character growth, because we spent so much time in the beginning of the book being like, I'm not like other girls, like I don't know how to wear makeup like other girls. Like she starts a job working at the mall, and then she has to like dress up, and then she makes friends who are like into makeup, and so she starts like dressing different, and she doesn't know how to tell them that like, oh, I'm only like wearing this for my job. So then like she kind of is like living a lie, and then like she doesn't want her brothers to see that she's like wearing makeup and stuff. I don't know, there's some like girl on girl hate when she like doesn't really understand what the other girls are into. She kind of is like hating on everyone, but she was just out of her comfort zone, and I feel like by the end of the book, like, she's made, like, a lifelong friend and stuff. That's really more of a subplot, but I just absolutely love, like, friends to lovers, and this book just, like, did it right. I also love, like, the protective older brothers. Like, that's everything to me. And this book was really short. Like I said, I read it in one day. I listened to the audiobook. I think it's like 6 or 7 hours. This one I have, it's Summer Days and Summer Nights, 12 Love Stories, edited by Stephanie Perkins. This is like the second time that there's this like holiday collection of short stories by young adult authors, and this one just has like some names. Like, I mean, I had to buy it. It has like Leigh Bardugo, Cassandra Clare, Veronica Roth, Stephanie Perkins. So I started reading these in 2016, and I would read a few stories every summer. It's definitely not a bop, but the Cassandra Clare one is the best one in the whole book. Ironically, it kind of has some, like, incest vibes because, like, I don't know why, because she could have written anything in the whole world, but the girl is, like, into her uncle's stepson, her cousin, but, like, not by blood, so, like, that's super weird. But it was really, really good. Everything else in here was like, eh. There's a lot of queer stories. So I gave this 3 stars. It was whatever. Damn, this is $28 in Canada. What hills? I miss having physical books because then after I review them, I like throw them on my bed, and that's like really cathartic, so. Okay, next are the books that I read during Reading Rush Week. So I almost finished Girls of Storm and Shadow, but like I said, probably gonna end up in next month's video. I read The Lover's Dictionary by David Levithan. It's a itty bitty boy. I wasn't in love with it, but if you don't know, David Levithan is probably my favorite author. What I love about this, I was just like, why am I reading my own thoughts? Which I have a lot with Levithan. It just like spoke to me on that level. What I didn't love about it is it was exactly like Why We Broke Up by Daniel Handler, and I don't like that book, and I didn't finish it, and it was driving me nuts. So I just had like a flashback, and I was like, wow, this is the same thing, because it doesn't really it doesn't seem like a breakup book, but it is. It's written in, if you didn't see my TBR, it's written in dictionary definitions. What was so cool and like David Levithan about this book is neither of the characters have genders. I kind of made an assumption at the beginning. There's like absolutely no descriptors in the whole book. At first I was confused because I thought like he meant for it to be a certain way, but after I finished it, I went back and I was like, he intentionally did not want it to be a certain way, because I didn't want to read it and be like, oh no, this was supposed to be like a man, but like it was never said, because it's written in second person. That's kind of why it reminds me of Why We Broke Up. And I gave it 4 stars. It wasn't good enough for a book for me, but it's definitely unique. I think what it did really well is be very specific, and then I was like, holy crap, that reminds me of this thing that happened to me that's exactly the same, and I felt exactly that way. Next book. For the challenge to read a book that you've seen the movie, I read The Duff by Cody Keplinger. After reading this, I definitely was like, I have to rewatch the movie, and the movie did not bop. Like, the first time I saw it, it was so good. Robbie Amell plays Wesley, and I knew he like looked too old, but he just looks so old. Like, I think he was married in that movie, and he's supposed to be in high school. I think he was like 28 or something. He just seemed so old. What I really didn't like about I'm sorry, I'm going to talk about the book, I swear to God, but Bella Thorne plays like a mean girl who like does not exist in the book. It has like no point except that like they wanted to put Bella Thorne in the movie, I guess. So fun thing about this book, Cody Keplinger wrote this book as a senior in high school. This was like literally written by like a 17-year-old, so that's really cool. I mean, when you're 17, like she knew like this is what kids are like in high school. These are things that kids say. Sometimes it's like publishing and whatever, like they don't say like the F word, they don't do all that. This book is like completely explicit. It didn't like skate around the point. It wasn't trying to be like a crazy like party kids or whatever. Like they were just like really like legit, because she wrote it when she was 17. Like she didn't shy away from anything. Another thing, this was nothing like the movie because they're kind of friends with benefits. It's definitely hate to love like all the way. I think the movie gets that, but it's like I said, completely different because they're just sleeping together. It's like a complete secret, and then like everything changes. So this one, her I guess I'm going to talk to you about it like you've seen the movie. I don't know why. There's a lot more problems going on at home. There's definitely some problems with consent, but it was kind of supposed to be like the bad boy or whatever, like he just takes what he wants, yada yada yada, but we don't stand that, so definitely some problems. But I know a lot of people who read this book when they were younger and they just love it, and I think because it gives you like rated R when like you really just get like PG-13 or whatever, young adult romance, which which is really fun because I think you definitely remember those, and there's like all this shock value if you're reading this and you're like in middle school or whatever. And didn't have the same like lifelong effect on me as if maybe I read it when I was younger. It's really good. I gave it 4 stars. Yeet. So the last book I'm so happy that I actually read, and it was The Saturday Night Ghost Club by Craig Davidson. Hey, I got it right! So this is, like I said in my TBR, like the first horror book I've ever read. It was like wicked short. Read it in one day. Off the bat was incredible writing. It is sometimes told in flash forwards, which I didn't hate because it wasn't dual perspective. It was like one perspective with like a sprinkle of flash forwards, which are nice. And he kind of is like a brain surgeon now, so there was like some science in it, which was all like more like a metaphor because he talks about like the parts of the brain, which was really neat. And just the writing was so good. It takes place in the 80s in Canada. It's about this kid whose uncle is really into like ghosts. His parents are always like, you know, like, don't listen to your uncle, he's a little bit wild. He makes his friend, and there's also this friend has like a sister who's Duff, and Duff drove me nuts because she's kind of like this like manic pixie dream girl. Like, I hated it. And I guess like he's a kid, so it's like whatever, because like maybe like boys like all have that experience of like the wild girl that they like fantasize about or whatever. But it was like Margot from Paper Towns or something. Like, it was just so annoying. I guess kind of like if you've seen, I mean, I guess a lot of you have read it, I've just seen the movie, but like, you know, like the one like girl in it, and they were all like obsessed with her because she like has problems or whatever. Like, I felt like it was like that. Otherwise it was like just like really fun and interesting. I felt like the plot was like somewhere. We ended up with like a really great reveal at the end. Unfortunately, it was just like not scary. It was old like ghost story like vibe. There was one part where there's like somebody standing behind him, and I was kind of like oop, but otherwise like I wanted to like not be able to sleep at night, and this book did not do that for me. But it was very cute, and it was just written really well, and I just wanted to keep reading it. So every Saturday night his uncle will tell him and his friends like a story or something, or he'll take them to like a haunted place. I recommend it. It kind of just like had the vibes of like Stranger Things. I like that it was short. I gave that book 5 stars just because it was just like, it just knew what it was doing, and it just like went there. And I was like, good job, Craig. Like, I really appreciate that. Yeah, so thanks for watching this whole thing. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. I have a Depop shop down below. I also have an ASMR channel with 1 video on it, but if you want to check that out, please do. Thank you so much for watching. I love you so much. Bye!